Spell Shield would be pretty great, and he's gonna go for a sustained matchup, so you can build Spirit Visage there on Hachani, keep that magic resistance going, and health coming in as well. Kind of what the doctor ordered here. We're gonna see, I believe that is armor, ability power, and mana regen for Marin's Nunu. So he'll be getting a little bit of AP back, as well as putting out a little bit more damage, as well as, of course, some defensive stats in there as well in the forms of armor. Although I think that was actually magic resist instead. So yeah, that's what you can see in the blues here for Hachani. Is going to pick up magic penetration, magic resistance, ability power, and then I think there was a little bit of extra health and armor, or just, I think it was actually just health there. So Hachani, mastery page, fairly standard. Is going to pick up some extra cooldown reduction, points at all the ability power and penetration that you can get on that page. No points, interestingly enough. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Solo King Korean 1v1 tournament here on Azubu TV. My name is Reed Rapid Melton, and I will be your Solo King co-caster, at least for this last best of 3 series between Marin and Hachani. Now, Hachani had a little bit of a stronger showing coming into this series, but with Marin finally able to take out Peekaboo, his teammate, coming in here, should see Marin stay back in base. Not looking too eager to fight at this point, but primarily just because, A, there's not really too much of a point of a level 1 engage, unless you plan on killing the guy or catching him out roaming around. And for Marin, better to stay back in base and wait for that all-important 4th potion. Keep his sustain just high enough to make it through the early phase of the game, and of course, continue a little bit later on. The most exciting part of the 2v1, or of the 1v1, comes in the first minute and a half, where minions spawn and nobody else does anything. Sometimes there are dance-offs, sometimes we have, like, I don't know, just turns taken, trading hits in the mid lane. It's all kind of just all for show. But now that extra potions have been picked up, minions have spawned, we are out and underway with Marin versus Hachani here in the mid. 2 minutes in, and you can see Hachani actually bunched the minion waves, so they would focus on one minion, keep that pushing his way. First minion kill of the game goes to Marin, drawing first blood with an Ice Blast. By first blood, I mean, you know, literally anything that hits Vladimir, because of course he is a Hemomancer. A lot of people think he's a vampire, and I'm like, nope, he is a Hemomancer. Thank you very much. Hashtag lore matters. Gotta get your lore on. But as far as this mid lane matchup goes, we were expecting to see sustain from Vladimir. What we are actually seeing is just Ice Blast after Ice Blast, making his life a living hell, as opposed to that other thing that Nunu does, which is pretty much just make your life a living hell. Relatively decent sustain here from Hachani. Of course, he'll have the extra regeneration from going with the Doran's shield. Only minor downside, I suppose you could say, is that you know, he won't have the ability to build into any other items. Some Vladimirs you'll actually see start with the Ruby Crystal, because, you know, thanks to his passive, he actually gets a little bit of ability power for all the health he buys. So might have been okay, but wouldn't have afforded him quite the same sustain that sitting on a Doran's shield will. Now, interesting to see Hachani using his Tides of Blood, because that actually costs him HP, and early on he doesn't actually have a Hex Tech Revolver to be able to get some of that HP back, so for the most part, it is unrealized gold that is just kind of out there, not being taken by anyone. So, Hachani versus Marin. Marin kind of doing hashtag things Nunu does. Almost said things Nunu do, but Marin just, you can tell that he's used to playing solo lanes, and more specifically top lane, which is where you actually saw Nunu for a long time as a very solid top laner. And 2 points into Ice Blast, looking to force those, force the sustain out of Hachani. He's gonna have to head back to base, and he might actually die if Marin's able to walk up Ice Blast auto attack, but do have to watch out that you don't get baited in by a Sanguine Pool Flash picked up by Marin, summoner spell that he's been running for the majority of his games this tournament, and by majority I mean 100% of them, but you get the idea. It's not a summoner spell that you're used to seeing, or that you should be used to seeing in 1v1 situations, because it's a win more spell. If you're already ahead, you can flash in and pick up the kill. If you're there to win by a narrow margin, then maybe Flash helps you outplay the other guy, but in just the straight up 1v1, I have more stats, I have more health than you are, or than you do rather. It's not a great situation to be in. If you need a little bit of extra, Flash not going to give it to you, unlike, you know, guys like DMX who will give it to you whatever you want. Return back from base with some extra ability power, Doran's Ring and Amplifying Tome. We'll see if that can amplify Marin's damage enough. With this pressure on Hachani, you can see it really starting to ramp up here, and Marin not actually all that bothered in the 1v1 champion matchup, but is having some difficulties here with a wave clear. Wave continuing to get shoved underneath his turret. Really not a whole lot of help, because this is a 1v1. There are no jugglers, there's no other rest of your team, and so actually all of the stats that you guys saw on the scorecards before this game were stats from champions this season. So LCK is a team-based game, you know, 5v5. It's not this 1v1, and so stats from that may not necessarily be accurately reflected over the course of these games. We've had upsets, we've had, you know, plates being too big or too small. It's been, you know, something that you definitely need to keep an eye on. Oh, Summoner, or not Summoner, but Sanguine Pool being used there for Hachani. I'm a little bit confused as to what exactly he's supposed to, or Marin is supposed to do at this point if he can't get near his creep wave. Finally finds a way to get up there, but very tenuous situation. Hachani is level 6. With a level 6, he does have a Hemo Plague, and he's actually going to go for the dive here. He takes up a turret shot. Should just walk under the turret, Hemo Plague, go for a spell rotation, and pool for the kill, but Marin does have Flash out and could definitely outplay him in that very dangerous situation. So let's see if Hachani's going to go for it. There is the Flash in there. He's going to pool just barely not outside the range of Absolute Zero, and it's Marin with a perfect Absolute Zero doing exactly the opposite of that. Now he's gonna go in here, watch this Flash Absolute Zero, perfect positioning too. Hachani doesn't really know what to expect here. The Flash, and there's the Ice Blast. Pool doesn't last that long, and it'll pop as soon as he comes back out of it, just the tip of that Absolute Zero. Hitting him at the end, first blood. Being drawn in the best of 3 series here by SK Telecom's Marin.